I'm so being blinded by this light right now, but well. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, to a brand new video, and today's video is going to be how to start real recovery / all in. So first of all, I want to discuss what all in actually means, and basically all in is just a term for real recovery. The reason why I use the term all in is because recovery itself, like when someone says that they're recovering, I feel like a lot of people have normalized restriction in recovery. Like I know that those people are like, I really want to recover, but, and there's a big but of being like, but I still choose to restrict, or like I'm in recovery but there's sometimes where I still choose to restrict, and I'm like kind of like, that's not really recovery. You know, recovery and being fully committed means that you do not give in to any of anorexia's bullshit, no matter what happens. It means that you stay focused, motivated, and you try and push yourself, and even if you're on the verge of tears, or even if you're in the middle of a breakdown, you're still pushing yourself to stay in that recovery mindset. Like for example, last night I had a really shitty day. I was just feeling really awful, really self-conscious, and just really low in general, but I still continued to eat, and I even ordered myself an Indian takeaway whilst crying because of the fact that I knew I needed to just do this. I was given the option to have an Indian takeaway or a super low-cal option basically, but I knew Emma wanted the Indian takeaway, so I went ahead and I still ordered the Indian takeaway despite crying, and I ate all of the Indian takeaway, and then also went ahead and I finished my mom's Chinese takeaway as well in one sitting. And that's what recovery is. That's what's choosing the right option and going against and doing opposite actions to your ED is, and that is real recovery. It's not just giving yourself that kind of, you know, slip in the middle where you're like, you know what, I've been like so hard on myself recently, I'll let myself just have a little bit of break from the ED and just listen to it for once. Or like you just decide that I've been pushing myself so hard, so I won't have that extra snack today because, you know, I've been doing it, it's too overwhelming. It's, you know what, I've been so overwhelmed, but I'm gonna overwhelm myself even more by having that extra snack. And when something feels so hard, it means that it gives you more reason to do it, because it gives you more like power basically to go ahead and do that. And like I know a lot of people will be like, but I'm just so scared, but I promise you that feeling of like fear and stuff, that will start to get overpowered by the fact that you will start to feel so empowered when actually tackling your ED, because you realize that, whoa, actually I'm no longer the victim in this situation. Like my ED is going to be the victim. I am going to be like this big hero kind of thing that's literally going to not give in to restriction, and that's what you have to do, and that is what real recovery is all about. So basically my term of all in recovery is real recovery. However, I call it all in because of the fact that it is basically restriction is normalized in the ED recovery community, which is not okay. I see loads of people on Instagram using recovery tags and stuff like that, and they are not eating enough food whatsoever. I actually did a poll on my Instagram yesterday asking how many people were in real recovery and how many people were in quasi recovery, and it was scary the amount of people that were in quasi recovery. It was literally like 12% real and like 78 or whatever percent in a quasi recovery, and that's scary. So I just want to let you guys know is don't always believe everything you see on social media. Just because someone might be posting on that they're doing, you know, this amazing and doing so well in recovery and eating all this food, it might not actually be the case. And I know that loads of people be like get like jealous of people because they might be able to eat more food and maintain on a like higher amount than you can or whatever like that. But you need to remember that like social media can be so deceiving, in that no matter what kind of recovery method you're doing, restriction is not okay. And that is one reason why I don't personally agree with meal plans. They are great, you know, for a starter kind of thing, for someone say who has struggled with eating and stuff like that, to need to get that little kind of a baseline of what normal eating is again. They're fine for that, but you must remember, a piece of paper, your body does not care about a piece of paper. A piece of paper does not basically like show your hunger or not. It just isn't for your body. So that's personally why I don't agree with meal plans, and it's not normal eating. Like you cannot solve restriction with restriction. Before I get into how to actually start all-in recovery, I want to talk about refeeding syndrome because it is something that's extremely real, and I also don't want to scare anyone though off recovery, but I also feel the necessary need to, to post on about this and to also give this equal amount of awareness because it does happen and it can be dangerous. But I know that a lot of eating disorders and stuff like that, they always try and use this as like a fear factor to not eat and to not commit to recovery. But there is so many ways around refeeding syndrome. It's actually extremely rare for refeeding syndrome to happen to begin with. And refeeding syndrome is basically when your body goes kind of into shock when you've been eating a low amount of food and your body has been in starvation mode. I'm going to mention numbers as well. I'm just going to mention them right now. I'm going to mention numbers in a minute, so if you're triggered by number, then please go ahead and click off this video. Please protect yourself and click off this video because I will mention numbers. Maybe it'll be to do with calories and not to do with weight though. So let me just do that trigger warning there. So basically, when you have been eating, say for example under 1000 calories, then your body can go into a shock mode when you're giving it food because insulin level spikes and your heart can't really keep up with it, and it can cause lots of different side effects such as like you get like the shakes and things like that, but then it can also be deadly. So I just needed to mention that. But there are ways around refeeding syndrome and not everyone gets refeeding syndrome. Personally, I did a really dangerous thing and I went from eating a really low amount of calories to a really high amount of calories in just a short space of time, and that was really without any health monitoring at this time. But I guess that this was after a relapse, so my body has already went through that kind of restriction to increasing calories, and I did that with like a team and stuff a long time ago. So I guess that my body, I feel like if I was going to go through refeeding syndrome, I would have went through refeeding syndrome the first time I ever started recovery. So I felt like I was a lot more safer the next time that I started recovery again, and I didn't play as safe as I kind of should have. But like I mentioned, it can be extremely dangerous, and if you have any side effects of refeeding syndrome, I will leave a link down below of the side effects of refeeding syndrome. If you have any side effects, then please go ahead and call 111 or go to your local emergency kind of department or speak to someone or tell someone, just do something to tell someone that you fear you may have refeeding syndrome. And that is one of the reasons why hospitals and things, when you go for your treatment, they gradually bring your calories and stuff to try and gradually increase it. But that doesn't work for everyone, and personally that didn't work for me. Because I just couldn't do that kind of small step kind of thing because I would just always fall back every time I did a small step, so I just had to throw myself head in first. So I recommend if you've been eating under 1000 or under that amount of calorie limit, then I recommend you do a 1000 jump for around 3 days and see how you are. And just one of my main tips whilst being an all-in is to be really self-aware of your body and your mindset and everything. Just be really self-aware of everything around you and and really focus on yourself. And if you have any side effects that might be related to refeeding syndrome, then just notice that. But if you've been all right for after like 3 days after eating a 1000 calorie jump, then I would say you're definitely safe to go for diving in headfirst and eating whatever you want to eat. And I also want to say that loads of people are like, it's really dangerous for you to be recommending like 5000 calories, blah 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 blah. But listen, right, someone who has been in starvation mode, their stomach capacity also decreases. So 9 times out of 10, they probably won't even be able to hold 5000 calories in their stomach just yet. So when I'm saying eat without restriction, that will probably be, a bit difficult at first for pretty much anyone who's been restricting because of the fact that your stomach capacity cannot hold a lot of food. And that's alright because it means that you will get to expand your stomach capacity so you're able to eat like a normal person again. Like, I literally remember, I take this not for granted anymore whatsoever because the fact that I literally remember like crying and stuff because I would get full of a handful of grapes. Literally, I couldn't even eat a handful of grapes without being full, and now I'm able to eat like normal meals and extras and stuff like that without feeling so tremendously sick and bloated. So your mental hunger will definitely be a lot stronger than your physical hunger, and that's the point of all. And you need to honor both your mental hunger and your physical hunger. And I want to also mention that though your like mental hunger might be so strong that it outweighs your stomach capacity kind of hunger, so you might be eating and you might be full, like physically full, and your mental hunger is still going at you, and it's important to continue to eat past the point of fullness regardless of how full you are. Obviously stop if you feel like you're about to throw up, then stop at that point. Like, don't force it that much. But if you feel like you're able to still eat more food, then continue to eat more food, and that whole bloating and the whole feeling so full so quick will start to go away over time when your body's like, imagine having, how I always described it is, imagine having your body's just been through gastric band surgery. If you don't know what that is, it's where someone puts like an elastic band basically around your stomach, and it's like a health procedure thing for people. And basically imagine that you have to snap that elastic band, and you have to continue force food down you to snap that elastic band. That's what you have to do, and that's just like my best way of putting basically that. Okay, so now on to how to officially start all in. So you feel like you've plucked up enough courage to finally go all in and finally commit to recovery. The first thing I want you to do is to ask yourself, am I really committed? You need to make sure that you are 100% committed, and that means that you need to be responsible for you, okay? That means that you do not restrict regardless of anything happening around you. You cannot compare to your family, your friends' meals, or anything like that, because you need to focus on you, and you need to take responsibility for you and your body, okay? It's not sustainable to constantly be asking people for permission to eat, for permission to like do this and do that, and you can't always rely on someone to be there with you whilst you're eating or anything like that. You need to make sure that you're able to keep yourself accountable. And like, it's literally just taking responsibility of this kind of your recovery and your illness and stuff, and really being self-aware and like just opening up your mindset to everything. And then the second thing I want you to do is to realize your motivations. What are your motivations to get better? Is it literally just to get better? Is it literally the fact and make sure that it's not just for your family. Like, make sure it's for you. So your family might be a really good motivation, like for your dog or your mom or your dad or whatever. That's a great motivation, and keep that there. But you must recover for yourself. This is for you, for your body. You must want it. And that is, no one can, make you recover. No one can force you to eat. Yes, sure enough, they could stick an energy tube down you, or they could sit and literally force food down you, but no one is going to be able to choose recovery for you except from you. And that's why a lot of people don't recover, because they don't want recovery. So you need to make sure that you want this. And if you want this as bad as you're probably on this video right now, then I think 100% recovery is possible for absolutely anyone. I mean, we've lived our lives ED free before, so why can't we do it again? It's all about rewiring the brain and rewiring our neural pathways to realize that weight gain isn't bad, that food isn't bad, and that our anorexia and our eating disorders are bad. And then the third thing I want you to do, after you've maybe wrote down all your motivations, is to write down your fear foods. Start to acknowledge the foods that you find more scary. So things like, I'm going to name common things, but everyone's fear foods is different. So you might have a fear of oil, you might have a fear of bananas, you might have a fear of vegetables, you might have a fear of cakes, whatever. There are lots of different fears out there, and they're pretty much all irrational. And then also acknowledge that you're not scared of the food, but you are scared of the consequences that your ED tells you of eating the food. So you're scared of the guilt, how you're going to cope with that afterwards. You're scared of the guilt about you feeling that you're going to gain weight, and you must also acknowledge that that's the main core. The core of all your issues are probably 9 times out of 10 is that fear of weight gain, and you must acknowledge that, or that fear of the loss of control, and you must then rewire that to be like, weight gain is not bad. Like, say if you're about to eat a meal and stuff like that, and you're like, oh my god, I'm terrified, I really want to like skip this meal, or I really want to like jump out the window right now. You must realize that I'm going to eat this meal, nothing is going to happen to me, absolutely nothing at all. And then if your brain's like, but you might gain weight, be like, I'm not going to gain weight off this one meal, and even if I did gain weight off this one meal, it wouldn't matter. It does not matter. My body does not define me, and my body is not who I am, and that weight gain is not bad. It's literally trying to fool your brain. You know what? You might be so scared of weight gain, but you need to basically pretend that you're not. You need to be like, I'm not scared of weight gain. I'm not scared of weight gain. And even though your head might be like, I'm absolutely effing terrified of weight gain, you need to be like, you know what? I'm okay. I'm calm. Nothing's gonna happen to me. You just really need to keep yourself like in focus and in that mindset, and just constantly just breathe and breathe and breathe, and just tell yourself you're going to be okay, and that your body knows what it needs to do. And if like during times is for like, you know, recovery feasts and everything like that, which is basically like binges in recovery, if you're going through them and you're eating loads of food and you're freaking out because you're eating so much food and you feel like you're out of control and you feel like, I've developed binge eating disorder. One, you haven't developed binge eating disorder, and two, it's completely normal. Just trust your body. Your body is doing this for a reason. Your body is doing this in response to starvation. And also remind yourself that this probably wouldn't have happened if I didn't restrict in the first place. So I need to make sure that I don't restrict again, and I don't restrict after this kind of binge thing either, to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And if it does happen again, then that's okay. It just means that your body needs it. Your body doesn't eat for the sake of eating. Your body is making you eat for a reason, because you're hungry, because you need it, and because of the fact that we need food to live, okay? I can't remember if I'm on the 4th thing or 5th thing. I'm gonna say I'm on the 4th thing. So the 4th thing that I recommend you to do is to completely cut out any negative people from your life, which means cut contacts with any friends who you may find triggering. If you have the kind of lunch group friends that are just sitting around like eating nothing for lunch, then cut them off. You do not need that kinds of toxic people in your life. I'm not gonna attempt to say that. You don't need that. Cut off any, you know, people who you are following that might trigger you. Start to focus on, you know, just you. Try to turn off the news, because there's loads of stuff that's going to be happening, especially around now, since, you know, January, diet cultures, everyone is kind of like after Christmas, like back on the bandwagon. New Year's resolution is to lose weight and blah 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 and blah, and diet culture comes, and you literally need to sit there like this and ignore every little diet culture myth ever, okay? You need to do that for you, and you need to just focus on you and cut off any toxic people in your life. And the 5th thing that you need to do is cut out any exercise. And I just want to say this now, you cannot recover and still exercise. If you had an exercise addiction or used any forms of the purging methods like throwing up, you must stop that. If you're throwing up, purging is so dangerous. If you're using exercise as a form of way of purging or whatever, you must also stop that. You cannot recover and still exercise. You cannot recover and still hold on to any eating disorders behaviors, and that is a fact, okay? No anorexia whatsoever can be in a part of your life. If you say that, oh well, I'm only gonna do like this little thing, no, nothing. You must go cold turkey on it. And loads of people will be like, oh, how do I go cold turkey? I can't just wake up and not do it. You wake up and you do not do it, okay? You sit down, you sit your bum on a chair with Netflix on, and you eat and eat and eat until you want to eat, and you just relax, okay? And I know, like, I'm gonna be so tense, because I literally remember the first time I started exercise, I was literally sitting like this for like the entire time, and I was just like, I need to get up and do it. But the thing is, I didn't get up and do it. And the next day I was like, well, yesterday you didn't get up and do it, so this day you don't have to get up and do it either. because that was the one thing I wanted to stop. I wanted so badly to stop the exercising, and honestly when I did stop, I was so relieved. I was like, I don't need to wake up at 6 a.m. anymore to do these stupid, vigorous, stupid exercise routines that I didn't want to do. Like, you should have seen me when I used to do them. Like, I couldn't even be bothered to do them. Like, I'd be standing in my bedroom going, and I just could not be bothered to do it, okay? You don't have to be a slave to your eating disorder, so don't be. Just don't be. So cut out any of that behaviors. Then the fifth thing, or the sixth thing, I'm losing count of numbers right now, is to acknowledge your cravings. So your mental hunger, like I mentioned, is going to be a lot stronger than your physical hunger, because physical hunger signals take more. I feel like I'm just repeating myself so often because I text this all the time. Your physical hunger takes more energy to do than your mental hunger signals. So your brain will be sending a lot of mental hunger signals rather than physical hunger signals. But that still means that you need to eat regardless if you're physical hungry or not, okay? So just remember that you must eat. And if that, you don't need to be, your stomach doesn't need to be growling to eat. If you want to have an extra bowl of cereal for just eating an extra bowl of cereal for the sake of it, then eat an extra bowl of cereal for the sake of it. Whew. I am losing my breath right now. I've talked so much, but I'm just so enthusiastic about this because I just want to get this word out to so many people that real recovery is so possible and it's so easy to do. Obviously it's not easy to do, but it's easy to do. Recovery doesn't have to be hard. Recovery is only hard if you make it painful and a hard process for yourself. Recovery can be as simple and as nice as just sitting down and eating. Yes, there are other things that will come with recovery, the bloating, the constipation, and all that kind of jazz, and the feeling a bit shitty and stuff like that. But it doesn't have to be as painful as it seems it'll be. It doesn't have to be. So anyways, back to the acknowledging what you're craving. So during the time I was like, oh my god, I crave so much food, I can't decide what I wanted to do. So that's where the whole buffet idea came along. So if you see my Instagram and my YouTube for that, I do a thing called buffets. So I even did a breakfast buffet one time where I did a selection of different foods. So I scrambled eggs, sausages, and then I had a sweet selection where I had pancakes, waffles, and brioche buns and stuff like that, and I was just able to go back and forward and pick what I wanted. I also had every form of cereal I had. So I had honey hoops, cornflakes, Cocoa Pops, and just having that all laid out so I was able to choose whatever I wanted was so much easier, and I was able to go back and forward. And it also wasn't as scary as I was able to plate up the food myself, but I was able to plate it up in quantity so it didn't look like so much food on one plate. I was able to just add the amount that I wanted on so I didn't get freaked out instantly. Obviously it can be overwhelming to see so much food laid out and stuff like that, which is another common thing. And then lunch buffets, and then dinner buffets obviously was my favorite kind of thing. So I had pizza, curly fries, french fries, every form of potato you can think of, alphabets, potato cubes, potato waffles. I had so much things, but that really helped me getting over the fear of food as well, because if I was able to have it on a buffet, then I was able to have it any other time as well. So I had a huge fear of garlic bread, and then now I'm able to eat garlic bread pretty much all the time now without fear. So that's another great thing. And just because you do a buffet, it doesn't mean that you need to obviously though I did actually do is I ate everything on that buffet, but just because you do a buffet doesn't mean you have to eat everything there. You can have little breaks, you can have a sweet break in between and then get back to it if you want to get back to it. You know what I mean? Don't feel so compelled to just force yourself to eat this food if you want to eat this food, okay? You're allowed to eat this food, just remember that, okay? I ate all of it and you can too. So the next thing I want to talk about is that, so say you've been committed on all in for some time now, say for a few weeks, because the first week or so is obviously difficult for the kind of the weight gain kind of thing, because you will gain food weight and water weight, but 9 times out of 10 it won't actually be actual weight. It's literally just your body holding on to everything because it freaks out that it's not going to get it again, so it holds on to a lot of the food and it morphs kind of a fake weight, but it's actually your body's way of protecting you, so it doesn't have to, because it's scared that you're going to go and restrict again. It's your body's way of protecting you to make sure that it has some food to feed off if you ever go back into that starvation mode again, so it doesn't feed off vital organs like your heart and stuff. And then basically what happens is that your body will start to let go of that false weight, and then you will start to you will just normalize. Everything will do its thing. You don't even have to focus on that shit, okay? All you need to focus on is you eating, okay? That's another thing. Throw away your scales. You do not need that. Throw away your measuring scales for measuring cereals, anything like that. You do not need that. You put the amount you want. And also, forget the scales. If you're obviously getting monitored by a team, then ask to be blind weighed, and they will also do that, which means that you just stand on the scales backwards, and you do not need to know the number on the scales because it's irrelevant. It does not matter. Your weight does not define you. Also, another thing is that your BMI doesn't tell the difference between actual like fat and muscle, and it can't tell the difference for your weight. Do you know that a poo can weigh up to 300 grams? Like, did you know that? Because I didn't even know that, but then my team told me, yeah, and now I know that. But it's literally a fact. Like, literally your weight can vary so much towards loads of different things, and constipation and stuff are so common. So 9 times out of 10 that you probably got a lot of poo inside of there, okay? That's just a fact. But your weight can fluctuate and go up and stuff like that for loads of different reasons, especially things like when you're in your periods and stuff like that. Your body like automatically produces more weight, and like there's just so much stuff, that factors that go into that number on the scales, and that's why you cannot trust it, and you cannot trust BMI. And then another thing that I must mention is set point. When I went all in, I had to hold on to that belief of set point, and it's real. It's real. I tell you, it's real, okay? Set point is basically your body's point where it's healthy for its body, where it doesn't have to be forced to suppress its natural body weight, and it's able to go. And people's set points are different. Some are higher than others, and some might be overweight set points, and some might be like, you know, a normal weight set point. And like you just cannot trust NHS guidelines, okay? So you might be at NHS guideline right now, and your dietitians and your therapists and stuff might be telling you that great, now you get to maintain your weight. But then you might be sitting being like, but I've still got extreme hunger. But I'm still so ravenous for hunger. I'm still obsessed about hunger. I'm still obsessed about food. I'm still hungry all the time. And they want to put you on this stupid, you know, maintain meal plan, which means decreasing the amount of food. And you're like, I'm going to be hungry for days. That means that you are not healthy. And that means that you are not at your body's natural set points, which means you need to kind of go against that, you know, professional medical advice. That is bullshit, man. It basically eat what you want to eat and listen to your hunger, and your body knows so much more, and your body does not care about a freaking BMI number, okay? The next thing to do is to obviously focus on, you know, after you've ate and stuff like that, to focus on other things. So pick up new hobbies, you know, like I mentioned in my previous video, to do like things like, you know, sewing, like stupid things like that, crafts, play The Sims, watch movies, do whatever you can to take your mind off it. You could go for like a walk with your dog and stuff, and by a walk I do not mean to burn friggin' calories, I do not mean like a marathon, I mean like a walk around the block to relax yourself. Maybe take some ice cream with you, I don't know, go to the beach, get an ice cream cone, do something like that. Like, just do something to take your mind off the guilt, and like the guilt will ease over time. Like, people think that you have to live with this guilt forever, but you don't. The guilt will start to ease over time. It just takes obviously a few days to do it. And then to also remember to keep yourself accountable, that this is for life. You know, committing to recovery is for life. It means every single day doing it, no matter what happens. Choosing the higher options. If you don't know what to choose, right, for food, and you're like, I don't know, I want to choose this or that, always choose the scariest option. Or you don't know what to eat, then think of the scariest thing in your house right now and eat that, okay? Like, doing things like that is always doing the right recovery option. And like, also just acknowledging your behaviors and things. So like, even doing behaviors like, you know, like cutting up an apple like 20 times or whatever, that's still eating behavior, and you still need to cut that out. And also, you know, realizing like things like, am I doing this because it's sorted? Am I doing this in eating behavior? Or am I doing this just because it's like I like doing this? You know, like, I had to figure out whether or not eating a cereal with a teaspoon was disordered or not, and then I realized that actually it wasn't disordered. I just like using my own personal teaspoon, because my mom bought us this really cute little cookie set, and I just like using that teaspoon, and it's like a general thing. That's not an ED behavior. Whereas if I was sitting cutting up my apple like into tiny little slices to make it seem to last longer, then like that's not good. That's eating behavior, and you have to stop stupid things like that as well, like wearing out cereal, or like I'm trying to think of like what other behaviors, like tearing food apart, or using a knife and fork to cut pizza because of the fact that you're scared of touching the oil in your hands or whatever like that. Doing shit like that, like that's still giving in to your AD, and that's still giving your AD power. So what like Meg's Recovery does, for example, is she talks about this new DVD, so like ejecting that that anorexia DVD and putting in that recovery DVD, and it's like retaping everything all over again. That's exactly what you have to do, and that's exactly what recovery is all about, is ejecting that anorexia disc and putting in that new recovery disc, and like basically doing a new thing. So it's like starting a new chapter and rewriting all that horrible stuff that has happened. And that's difficult, but it's possible because, for example, things like Tabitha and stuff do it. So I know that loads of people were asking, like I saw that loads of people commented about like Stephanie Buttermore and stuff, and I know Stephanie Buttermore didn't have an eating disorder, I know that for a fact, but either way she still suffered with extreme hunger, and she still used the all-in method as a way to fix herself. For example, Eric the Electric, he did have anorexia, and he did recover by doing the all-in method. Or people like Tabitha Farah, she did have an eating disorder and stuff like that, and now she's fully recovered by doing the all-in method. The all-in method works. And that's all I just want to say, is that this kind of recovery method, it does work. It's not even a recovery method. What am I saying? It's recovery. It's real recovery. We only just call it all in because of the fact that I mentioned at the beginning that normal recovery is kind of, you know, restriction is normalized in recovery, and that's not right, and that shouldn't be the case. Like I shouldn't have to name my recovery all in recovery because of the fact that I'm just scared that people will get, you know, recovery mixed up with this kind of anorexia and this restriction kind of thing. And the last thing I want to mention before I end this video is that you are sick enough, okay? It does not matter what weight you are. You can be whatever weight and recover from anorexia, okay? You can be at a healthy weight and still go all in. It just means gaining your life back, and it means gaining so much more than just weight. So I hope this video helped you, and I hope this video gave you a little bit of an insight on how to start all in recovery and how to commit to recovery. And thank you guys so much for watching this video, and you can do whatever you put your mindset to. Thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.